right, Ben, so you've never faced Onic before. What went into the preparation to learn about his game?
I've actually played him once before, just not in a final. I played him in Denver in the quarterfinals. But yeah, I mean, if you've only played with somebody one time, you're still going to have to do some studying, basically. So yeah, Colin kind of gave me a little bit of a breakdown this morning, some notes and some patterns, and yeah, I mean, I think it's important if you haven't played a player and you don't naturally know their patterns, then you kind of have to look at least a little bit and identify some. And they might change mid-match, of course, if they've identified that you're, seeing what they're doing. But yeah, you got to go in with a little bit of a game plan. So yeah, I did a little research, watched a little video, and came out with a good game plan, I think.
And you were both very aggressive at the net, and Onic kept you back at the serve line a lot. Did you find it hard to creep into the kitchen against him?
Yeah, somewhat. It's kind of interesting because at the kitchen line, he tends to be going for more than most players might. So on one hand, you do kind of want to do that because they'll often overhit and give you some errors, which I think he did. But at the same time, when you are approaching, you kind of got to be aware that he's probably going to go for a full-out winner rather than kind of playing some kitchen games. So sometimes you got to guess one direction or the other, and if he makes it, he makes it. But the percentages are kind of in my favor of dropping and coming in and letting him try to do something.
And this question is from Johnny 5.0. Ben, we've seen a theme of some of these lower-seeded men's singles players been making extended runs this year, perhaps catching other higher-seeded players by surprise. How do you prevent the surprise upset more often than not?
Yeah, well, I think he's definitely right about the men's singles field getting a lot deeper, meaning there's a lot more good players to a much deeper extent in the draw. So really every round you got to be aware and cautious that they might rip some winners and do really well. How do you prevent it? I think it's mostly preventing runs is a big part of that, and not making a lot of unforced errors like on returns, covering the net well so that matches don't get away from you really quickly, I think is the biggest thing. And if you score even at a moderate pace, as long as it doesn't get away from you on the other side of the net when they're scoring, then you have more time to kind of adjust to their game, because when you have all these good players and they have new games, you're not going to be used to their patterns, you're not going to know what they're going to do, so they can run away with some matches. But the longer you extend those matches by playing good defense, the more time you have to adjust. So I think that's the big thing for me.
And how do you see Onyx's future in pickleball? Do you think you'll be seeing him more often?
For sure. I think that the men's singles field, like we just said, is definitely deeper. So I can't say we're going to see any particular person over and over. It's definitely getting more difficult for everybody. But just based on his athleticism and his shots, I don't see why we wouldn't see him in some more finals and some deep runs and draws.
We talk about your hobby a little bit, underwater basket weaving. So how did you get into that?
Yeah, that was a total joke. I've never done that before. I wish I could keep that going, but I don't know enough about it to actually tell you anything more that's false.
All right, thanks, Ben. Congrats.